I'm thinking this is like 90s stuff, right? So it's got plenty of time to be sampled. So yeah,
Yeah.
just thought that was interesting.
Perhaps it will be now.
Yeah, there you go. All you rappers out there that tune into these two crusty white guys talking about
Or you,
usually dated music.
or you dope MCs, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. It's Andy and John here. And John, how you doing, man? How you doing over there? Hands working great. That's good to see.
Yeah, but I'm never quite sure if it's really mine. Um, yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Excellent, man. Excellent. Well, it is your turn to offer up something to the class for me to go off and listen to, everyone to enjoy, and for us to discuss when I return. What do you have in the chamber, sir?
I don't even know why I'm asking this, but I will. Have you heard of a band called King of the Slums?
No, I have not heard of a band called King of the Slums.
Is the correct answer. And
Great.
so I'm giving you a song from a band called King of the Slums. And that song is, in my best Aretha impersonation, Joy.
Okay. Excellent. Well, I will go off and give interesting song name for a band named King of the Slums, you know. But yeah, I'll go off, give this a listen, and come back and give you my honest opinion. Is that violin? I mean, the thumbnail would lead me to believe, if I'm to buy into this illustration here, that that is in fact violin, and it sounds awesome. It sounds, I don't know, quite different than I think we're accustomed to hear. I'm so used to hearing either like fiddle in bluegrass style music or country style music, or perhaps a more orchestral sound from some of the other stuff we've listened to on this channel. This is interesting. They're kind of playing with it a little bit, at least it sounds like to this point. Awesome drum beat to start things off. Simple but fun little bass line that was happening there. Yeah, I'm really intrigued by this thus far. More violin. it's like distorted violin, like they've got like a fuzz pedal on it or something like that. And I mean, of course, there are electric violinists out there, and people who utilize that in songs. It's just really cool. I've heard it before, but you don't hear it often, where they're like implementing effects on it, and that thing is just becoming an absolute earworm. It's kind of like the musical hook for the whole song. But there's some other stuff that they're doing there as well. And I think that the guitars, if I'm not mistaken, are commingling with that other violin sound really well. Almost like they sound like cousins or something like that. Really, really cool. Vocal delivery is, perfect for the song. Sounds great. And I want him to know that he is making me happy because I really enjoy the sound of this tune. Just wanna make it liking this. Play with dynamics here. Ah, that was so good. So good. Yeah, that was really fun. That was a lot of fun. This like sort of alt rock, but heavy violin sound is obviously I don't know what their other songs sound like in their catalog, but if this is their thing, like this playing with violins, electric violins, affected violins, I like that. I like this song a lot. I don't know if an entire album of this would kind of like wear on me or kind of lose a little bit of its luster. You get to track 9 of 12 of something that's cut from this cloth. You might. I don't know if I would, because I really, really enjoyed the song that much. But I'd love to learn more about these guys. This is really awesome artwork as well. If this is the album cover, good stuff. Really cool. Yeah, yeah. I wonder what John has to say about these guys. Interested to learn more, interested to hear more, and I'm certainly going to be revisiting this one in the future. Let's get back to John. All right. I am back from being sandwiched between the pillars that were my left and right earphone. And I can say this one was good. This was fun. This is interesting, but in the most positive, non-pejorative way. Go ahead.
Can I before you go full flow? I will say now, the reason I picked this is because it is an oddity. It's a bit, but also a couple of weeks back. No, I'll tell you when it was. I think it might have been when we were doing our review of the year, and you mentioned about the Tinder Stick saying it's probably your favorite use of violin in a song that you can
Yeah.
remember. And I thought, and actually, I toned it down because it gets really distorted and weird on some of their songs. And I thought, oh, no, I'll pick one that's not quite so heavy. But here's a different use of violin, which you probably not have heard before. So that's why I picked it.
It's funny you mentioned that, and I can understand why now, and it totally makes sense that it dovetails into our previous conversation about my affinity for the violin and that song in particular by the Tinder Sticks. But after listening to this, I was like, yeah, I really like it now, and I want to listen to this again. But I got to be honest, in my head, would I, if I'm on track 9 of 12 on an album that is like this, is it going to wear on me? Is the novelty at some point going to go back? Because I really liked that a lot. I did, but I could also see, man, like if
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is every song,
Small doses, small
yeah,
doses.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Another thing that stood out to me that I didn't think I mentioned on the reaction was that like parts of it sounded like they would be ripe for sampling in hip hop. And I was wondering if like this would has ever been sampled, and if not, and you probably don't have the answer to this, but why? Because it seems like it's got these elements that you could throw lyrical rhythms over top of and fall into like nice flows and cadences.
Mm.
But yeah, I just thought that was really interesting sound it had because it's probably I'm thinking this is like 90s stuff, right? So it's got plenty of time to be sampled. So yeah,
Yeah.
just thought that was interesting.
Perhaps it will be now.
Yeah, there you go. All you rappers out there that tune into these two crusty white guys talking about
Or you,
usually dated music.
or you dope MCs, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, man, this one, and I think the first thing that gave me hip hop vibes may have been this opening drum beat because it has a little bit of the funk shuffle to it that you get
Yeah.
with like funk music and stuff like that, which with some of the earliest stuff getting sampled in hip hop. So yeah, fun little drum beat kicks things off before cutting out, save for a little cymbal work, and then we have this bass line that is so prevalent throughout the whole song and quite simple, but it still does its job really well. I mean, it gets stuck in your head. And it's again catchy, simple. Then the featured player and provider of this earworm hook of the song joins in the form of the violin. And it's playing this really interesting melody that again it becomes this thing that bores itself into your brain as you're listening to this. It plays that melody over the aforementioned instruments. Then there's some like real attitudinal guitar in this. Is the only way I could describe it. It's got a bit of an edge to it. And the guitar sounds like it has some like light wah effect among other things being used on it to give it a little sound, which is perfect because at points the violin is almost doing similar shit.
Yeah, it
And they're
kind
and
of
they're
does it a little bit,
Yes.
doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, and I even wrote, oddly, this guitar and the violin commingle so well together. It's as if they're familial or like old friends. Um, and then the singer finally joins the mix around the 125 mark. And the music falls back to just the drums and the bass for a bit, akin to the way the song started almost, right? With just the drums and the bass. And then the violin riff joins again and is accompanied by this in short order by the guitar. And it's at this point that I'm noticing the violin do some slight screeching, like you can almost hear the bows just scratching against the neck. And I really, really like that. And that's only amplified by the fact that it's amplified. I didn't even mean that. It's only amplified by the fact that it is literally amplified. So you have this electric sound to it all that's more fronted than it would be if it were, a traditional violin, even played in front of a microphone. So I really thought that was cool and an interesting sound. And things kick off into what I imagine is the chorus proper, and everything escalates a bit, and the music is more full and fronted. And during this bit, the drums are doing some really great fill work. I mean, I really enjoyed the drums in this song in general.
Yeah.
There's some really awesome fills, and the way that the drummer and the bass player really worked throughout this song together was really great too. There are these occasional string bends around the 254 mark, and it sounds a lot like the violin, but it has this guitar-like quality about it that makes it even harder to discern where the guitar work stops and the violin starts. Again, it's that that interconnected sound that they have. And that, to me, at points I thought I heard the original violin melody and this other violin work happening at the same time. And I was wondering if that's like dual violinist, or if they just laid a second track down and the guy put down another track of the violin and they occasionally overlapped one another. Um, so yeah, it was just awesome. Just the work between the violin and the guitarist was incredible in my estimation. It was just not something that I expected or thought I would have gotten when I turned on the song. And next we have these stop and go flourishes, these motifs where it's like the sound is delineated by the intermittent bass work and cymbal features. So like they'll only feature, and then it builds into these guitar flourishes, and then it falls back to just those two, and it repeats, and it's kind of fun because each of those flourishes in between that static, the bass and drum are different a little bit, right? And so that adds a little bit of spice to the life of the song. And it I guess it does that a few times until around the 5 minute marker, and then it shifts into this like awesome guitar shit, you know what I mean? Just this great guitar lead. And this is sort of like the culmination of that attitudinal sound too. It's really like at this point, it's just getting all of the shit off of its chest. And it sounds great. I loved it. And the song winds down to the drums and the bass again, and some wailing guitar notes that are kind of like sustained in the background, almost like the shadow left from the lead that had just wrapped up. And you're left with the singer repeating full of joy and full of life, or light. I don't know which of those two words, but it's definitely like an li word. And the song comes to an end. And like I said sort of at the beginning, as we sort of organically just jumped into how I felt, I didn't know. I loved this song. I really liked it. I would listen to this again and will listen to it again. I don't know how I would receive. I guess it's almost an interesting like experimental situation that I'd like to like. Let me listen to this album and see if it wears on me, or if it maintains its charm throughout by utilizing these awesome electric violin sounds.
Yeah. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. You're pretty much on the same page as me with a lot of this, actually. So, I will say this: there's not, sadly, not a lot about this band in terms of when I was doing the research.
The way you
All right.
introduced them led me to believe these guys weren't exactly like blockbusters.
Yeah. So what I have got, I've got all of it. So that's pretty much. There might be some odd fanzine bits here and there, but I picked some stuff up. But yeah, um, the reason why I picked this, they're a really interesting band. Before I go into the sort of research, if I just tell you, I picked up this song a long time ago, and I had the 12-inch, that one there, for a while. And it's got about two or three different mixes of this song on. And this song, I think, is one of the more accessible, and it's almost um a fermentation of different things and sort of developing their sound. So earlier stuff, I'm only really familiar with that early stuff, and it is quite acerbic. A lot of influence from the Fall, sort of This Nation's Saving Grace, that sort of period. Um, the Both the guitars and the violin are quite acidic in
Mm,
tone. He has really nice and interesting lyrics, which are kind of social comment with a lot of color. I'll go into that anyway. But this I really like because it is slightly different to their other sound. You have this bass, which essentially is almost a dub bass. And I think lends a lot from sort of Jar Wobble, Public Image Limited sort of sound. And with that beat as well, you're getting into you're sort of approaching the sort of Manchester baggy sound, but not quite. Then the way they've processed this song means it's kind of danceable as well, rather than just an indie rocky song.
mm.
So it's a really interesting approach. Okay, right. So about the band. Formed in Manchester in 1986, and I went through to 1991, and then again from 2009 to 2021. They are described as alt rock. So initially, it was two of them that set it up. Charlie Keir, vocals and guitar initially. He kind of dropped the guitar and just concentrate on the vocals later on. And Sarah Curtis, electric violin.
Mm.
She was studying, I didn't write this down, but I think it was the Royal Northern Academy, proper classical, and she dropped out, had enough. They met, formed the band. They called themselves initially Slum Cathedral User, and they were joined by a guy called John Eccles on bass. Now, these two, Cholakia and Sarah Curtis, are the mainstay of the band, and then other personnel revolves in and out. And it's a bit Spinal Tap, the amount of drummers they got through. There's loads that aren't even noted anywhere as the names, but it's a good dozen or more. You know, so it's two or three a year. There are bits where they kept on to some people. So they started. They recorded a demo. And they changed their name to King of the Slums, and they did have a drum on that demo. And then what they did was when they started playing live, they played live as a three-piece, and they had a plastic dustbin and a tambourine to replace the drummer. And I think they took it in turns to kick it or whatever. They won a Band of the Year competition and got some recording sessions. From that, where they did a couple of bits, and then they self-released their first debut single in 1986. And the bass player Eccles left in 87. They were then joined by John Chandler on bass and Ghetto Brian on drums, after a few other drummers, it says, and God knows how many. Further releases, they did like bits and pieces, EPs and singles, and they were collected together on a compilation album called Barbarous English Fare, which I have here.
Of course.
So it's not an album proper, it is actually a compilation, but it's got 12 songs of their EPs and stuff. And there's some really good stuff on there. Fanciful Head Case was a Pennine Spitter, which I'm all about that. Bombs Away and Half A. Interesting artwork and all that stuff. It's quite
Yeah,
sort of
it's funny you mentioned that.
homemade, studenty kind of thing. It's got a bit of attitude to it, as you can see. So yeah, quite cool.
Yeah, it's the I think I even mentioned it when I was doing my reaction, like how cool the artwork was on the album cover there.
And
What I
the,
assumed was the
and the-
album cover, and
yeah,
you
that's the
confirmed.
EP cover, but yeah,
Yeah,
same thing. Yeah,
yeah,
really
really
nice.
cool stuff.
So I obviously got that. They also so that was released in 89. They also did a Peel session in 88, and they got some exposure to one of their songs on Snub TV, which was like an alternative British TV channel. I'm from Bombs Away on Harper Day, and that actually reached number 8 in the indie charts, and that was their most successful issue ever. They never troubled the mainstream charts. They never had any commercial success whatsoever. So the proper debut album came the following year in 89. It came in 1989, sorry, called Dandelions. And it was really favourable reviews from the critics, but didn't sell a copy. So another rhythm section joined Keir and Curtis in 1990. And their second proper album, called Blowsy Weirdos, was released in 91. This time with Pete Mason on guitar. Keir was then just doing vocals, Joel Nally on bass, and Stuart Owen on drums. Again, decent reviews, but very little sales. The
Mm.
band broke up later that year. At that point, they'd done over 200 gigs, resulting in numerous bootlegs circulating around, and they're kind of probably almost the definition of a cult band. In 2009, they reformed and they released the Audiophiles album, and then further albums in 2017, 2018, which this had a new member called Clarissa Trees on viola. It doesn't say whether I believe she'll be an additional rather than replacing the violin player. And they did another album in 2020. They started to cancel gigs in 2019 due to ill health of a band member. And sure enough, the frontman, Charlie Keogh, actually died peacefully in his sleep on the 28th of November, 2021, after fighting a long battle with ill health. He would have still been quite a relative young man. They talked about his epitaph could easily have been the lyrics from the song The Pennine Spitter, which is on that compilation I got, where he sings, I consider it memorable how easily I'll be forgotten, which is quite a nice little line.
Yeah.
But hopefully it won't be that forgotten. So this track, Joy, is from Blows You Weirdos, their second proper album. And it was actually their last single they released before splitting that first time in 91. The lyrics. Right. Because this band aren't that well known and haven't been sampled by P. Diddy yet, no website anywhere has any lyrics to this song. Some really obscure website have got lyrics to about 4 of their songs, and that's it. And this ain't one of them. So I did my best. And of course, he sings in this sort of Mancunian colloquialism as well. So here we go. There is some lines I just could not get because that bloody violin was playing as he spoke. So come here, I'll make you happy, because he pronounces it yeah happy. Just want to make you happy. Don't be coming on so sassy. Just want to make you happy. Ugh. And then again, ugh. Get out, just know, no matter how fast we go, because I'm full of joy and I'm full of life. Life. And then he comes with a lovely, lovely line here. The minute you walked in with a joint, I could tell you were a real big spender. At the same time, someone says scumbag. What? Yeah, one of us is gifted. I know that it's me because I can make you happy. Come here, I'll make you happy. Don't be coming on so sassy. Just want to make you happy. Ugh, ugh. And then it goes in. Get out, just know, no matter how fast we go, because I'm full of joy and I'm full of life. Joy. And then it repeats that quite a few times. Full of joy and I'm full of life. Life, joy. Full of joy and full of life. Life, joy. Full of joy and full of life. Joy, joy, joy. Ugh. Guitar solo. Full of joy and full of life. Right. Full of joy and full of life, right? So that's the lyrics, and I think it's obviously about some lady, probably a friend of his mother, called Joy.
Well, kudos to you for transcribing all of those to the best of your ability, anyway.
That took a while. I mean, thank God a lot of it's repeated, so it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly.
control V. So this is just a little piece I found from like a fancy website, and I can't remember. It's got something to do with, I think it was called something like Dr. Mango or something. It did, my antivirus did say this site is untrusted, but I went on anyway. It's fine. So they've written this about, so this is a quote from this site, which I think is quite nice. It says the string and rhythm arrangement complemented the often raw guitar work. Keir's lyrics tell stories from an urban landscape, familiar with crime, violence, single mothers, and casual sex. They tell of people struggling to make the most of the hand dealt to them by life, accepting breaking the law with a shrug of the shoulders if it means making a few quid. Keir introduces characters whose ambitions and potentials have been crushed by lack of opportunity or lack of effort, which leaves them often nursing a brooding sense of being hard done by and wanting redress by whatever means. His tales are peppered with colloquialisms and slang and laced with delicious sarcasm. This description may lead you to believe that King of the Slums were po-faced social commentators, but you'd be utterly mistaken. And heaven forbid if the electric violin makes you think of the dreadful Levellers. The songs contain a great deal of humour, often self-deprecating, but above all, this group had tunes, great tunes, which were cult hits on discerning indie dance floors. So I think that's quite a nice little sort of rounding off of what they're all about. Yeah, I think you're right. Particularly, I'm only familiar with the early stuff, as I said, and that early stuff is a lot more acidic than this. So I do, small doses.
Okay.
It's really nice and refreshing, but I'd say 3 or 4 tracks would be your limit for me.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I imagine it would be for you as well. So it's really nice to know it's out there and you can dip into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not going to be a daily wake up song.
Yeah. No, that
Uh,
checks out. That makes
yeah.
sense.
And I think this is really a really nice sort of combination of some of their influences, that not just the sort of a bit of Marky Smith wannabe, there's other bits to it as well, which is cool.
Right.
So yeah, I thought something a bit different, and maybe there were some people who may not have heard this.
Well, yeah, I
And
was
there
one of
may
them,
be,
and I appreciate you offering it up. So,
and there may be some people who wish they never heard this. But
yeah,
anyway, that's
it could be.
tough. You're here now. You've done it. Um, no going back. Right, I'll wrap things up and say thanks for listening to Sunday, folks out there. Thanks for getting so far. Tell us what you think of Joy by King of the Slums. If you like this, hit the like button. Drop some comments. Let me know what you think. I don't know why. I thought I'd probably just had enough of what I've got on theirs, so I never checked out their latest stuff. So yeah, especially if you're familiar with the stuff when they sort of reformed, let us know. Did they sink down to the level of the levelers? That's a sentence, isn't it? But yeah, let us know and drop some comments. We'd love to hear from you, and all the tidbits of info and opinion are always gratefully received. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do. Because one lucky subscriber who hits that mystery number, and we haven't decided what number it is, will win the inflatable toilet.
A
It's got to
mystery even to us.
go. But yeah, we do appreciate everyone who supports the channel. Welcome on board. We'll pipe you in later. That being said, thanks again so much for watching, and we'll see all of you on the next episode of the Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.